Welcome everybody to the Class of 2023 Dedication Ceremony. My name is Ella Brandt, and I'm grateful to welcome you to tonight's celebration. Thank you all for supporting your children, friends, and family during this ceremony. Tonight you will hear from student speakers including Caleb Metzler, Emma Wilson, along with music performances from Campus Chorale. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's dedication ceremony, and again, thank you for supporting the Class of 2023.
So there were two verses that were the theme for this year, and they're actually printed in your program. If you pull those out, I'm just going to read them quickly before I launch into the devotional. They're from Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 and 14. I'm not exactly sure how verse 13 got voted off the island, but that is actually a great verse about forgiveness as well. You can look that one up later. But verses 12 and 14. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Now, I know Zach and I would talk sometimes at home about what was shared in chapel. And oftentimes, chapel speakers would speak on the theme. And so by this point, you've probably heard about 87 different people talk about Colossians 3, 12 and 14. So I thought I was going to pick a word out of these verses that nobody else had dared to speak about. The very first word, therefore. Because that word points to the first 2.5 chapters of this letter that Paul wrote. And I want to pull the main idea right out of the center of it. But I had a conversation with a guy on an airplane as I was flying back from India about 2 months ago. And I was on my way home, and the guy sitting directly next to me, he had graduated, he's 25 years old. He already had his doctorate. He was doing postdoctoral work. He was on loan from the University of Pittsburgh, so he could be in Israel for a solid month to study things that I wish I could explain to you, but I'm not an engineer type that could understand everything this guy was saying. He's talking about quantum mechanics and nanotechnology, and then the person on the left of me, what she does for a living, she takes parts of people's lungs that have cancer and somehow makes avatars of them. And I'm sitting there as the two of them talk past me. I said, hey, I got to pause the two of you and let you know I feel like I'm a relatively intelligent person. I don't even belong in this row, maybe not even on this plane, because these people were so intelligent. What was interesting was the guy on my right, he talked for about an hour and a half nonstop, with me not understanding most of what he was saying. Finally, he breathed after that hour and a half, and he said something that allowed me to ask him a question. After I asked that question, he kind of mumbled through a little statement back to me, and then I asked him one more question. And they were questions about his worldview. And he had no answer for me. Incredibly brilliant. But he didn't know what his life was rooted in. So today we come to a really exciting moment where we can celebrate God and dedicate all of your efforts and thank Him for what He's done in and through you to bring you to this point. But what I don't want you to do is graduate tomorrow, all excited, and go running off into your life to do all the great things that the world has to offer, but not be rooted in what really, really matters, like the guy that was sitting next to me. In fact, I have a picture because I like to teach with pictures. So if you all in the booth could put that first one up there. If you turn around and glance, graduates to be, you'll see this is from Honduras. There's a bridge out in the middle of nowhere. And you look at it and you go, why in the world did they build the bridge? Don't go to the second one yet. Go back to the other one. There we go. Thank you. Sorry. So you look at this and you go, why would they build the bridge, millions of dollars on this bridge, and put the river next to it? That's some interesting engineering. Well, the reason for that is they didn't. When they built that bridge, the river was going underneath it. And a tremendous hurricane hit that country. So tremendous that it actually changed the trajectory of the river. And now, you see millions of dollars spent on something that's sitting out in the middle of nowhere, without a purpose, without an eternity. The guy that was sitting next to me on the plane, he had all kinds of knowledge, all the knowledge that the world could fill his head with. but he had no connection to the Lord Jesus Christ in his life. So now you can go to that other picture, because this is the other bridge picture I wanted to contrast. I told you 2 months ago I was in India, and in northeast India, it's the place in the world that gets more rain than any other. In fact, in any given year, on average, they will get close to 40 feet of rain. Several hundred years ago, every bridge that was built in this area would just get washed away, whatever they tried to build. But then somebody had an idea. Maybe we can take some of the roots on either side and gradually have them grow together. Now, it took a really long time. In fact, it took 70 years. But 70 years later, they actually had a bridge that would not wash away. Therefore, in Colossians chapter 3, verse 12, points back to 2 verses specifically in Colossians chapter 2 that tell us to continue living in Christ, be rooted and established. Some versions say built together. Be rooted and built together in him, meaning in Christ. When I saw this bridge, I was like, wow. Those roots went so deep that when the forces of the world came, their bridge would not be washed away. You saw 2 pictures, one where a bridge became useless because it wasn't rooted in something that would make it valuable for the long term. My challenge, my encouragement for you is fill your heads with knowledge. Whether you are going on to college, whether you're going to enter the workforce, the military, whatever it is that the Lord has you, you're going to need to grow. You're going to need to learn. You're going to need to expand. Do that. As you go, have your roots go deeper and deeper in Christ so that this world will not sweep you away. Congratulations. Amen.
Good evening, distinguished guests, administrators, faculty, and most family members, and most importantly, class of 2023. Congratulations, you did it. You endured. You've pushed through everything that life has thrown at you in the past 4 years and succeeded in completing high school. At some point over the next month, we will all receive our piece of paper that tells colleges and employers, hey, this kid did at least the bare minimum. It would be foolish, however, to go without acknowledging some of the people who have helped us get to this point. Thank you, parents, for pushing us to do our best when we didn't think something was even possible. Thank you, Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Wenger, and Mr. Evans, to name a few teachers, for making learning fun and engaging. Thank you, Mrs. Schenk and Mrs. Hill, for being our therapists, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. I could never do what you do. Finally, thank you, coaches, club advisors, directors, and anyone else who has influenced our lives to get us on this stage tonight. We are forever grateful for all the lessons you have taught us, but even more so for the lessons that will help us succeed in life. Oh, looks like I forgot one. Thank you, Grammarly, Purdue OWL, and above all, Google, for making our lives so much easier than those of prior generations. All good things must come to an end. This is a phrase attributed to Geoffrey Chaucer, an English poet in the late 1300s. As he lived over 600 years ago, this simple saying did not sound at all like this in its original form. In fact, the poem that this phrase comes from, Troilus and Cressida, has the line, but at the least, as everything hath end. Now, I dislike Middle English as much as the next person up here, but the message of this saying rings true and will continue to do so for the rest of our lives and beyond. I became familiar with this expression through doing some theater productions with Mr. Souter over the years. At the beginning of each closing night green room, he would address those present in a somber tone, "Folks, all good things must come to an end." And a somber phrase it is. After the closing show of Annie this past February, my mother reminded me of something I used to do after these sorts of abrupt endings to major time commitments. She reminded me that on the last night of whatever the given event was, I would go home and cry myself to sleep. After spending so much time and effort committed to something, I was devastated to think that after all the effort I put in, after all the people I grew closer to, and that after all that time, everything would just be done in an instant. There's actually a word for this exact feeling, which I happened to stumble across last night on one of those TikTok accounts that features beautiful words. Eterath, the feeling of emptiness after the end of a long process that leaves you standing on top of the world, but anxious to know what comes next. The comments were filled with young adults just like us, who are finishing high school and reminiscing on the past. Looking back at our last day in school, May 19th, I feel almost the same sadness I felt on all those nights during my childhood. In the past 14 years of my education in the Lancaster Mennonite community, every school year has felt like it properly wound down at the end. There were always 2 or 3 of those stress-free days that were spent in school hanging out with friends before summer hit, but when I didn't have to worry about turning in assignments for fear of ruining my GPA. This year, though, was much different. Nearly all my teachers had major assignments due that Friday at 11:59 p.m., as Schoology was always so keen on reminding us. I don't know whether it was because I spent my last days stressing over these assignments, because I knew I wouldn't see some of you for a couple of years, or because I was stressing over a speech I had to prepare, which caused this difference in how I feel about finishing senior year. Who am I kidding, though? Despite having a month's notice, I still wrote this reflection the morning of my first deadline, just like most of you did for far too many assignments. When some of the most notorious procrastinators in the school are nervous for you, you should probably be nervous as well. As I was saying, this year has ended very similarly to the events which caused me to stress in my earlier years, abruptly. What makes this so different from the other times, though, is the sheer magnitude of effort that we have all put in to make this happen. I'm unable to think of anything else thus far in our rather short lives that we have dedicated so much time to, year after year since we were 4 or 5. Essentially, our life's purpose thus far is coming to an end, and there is no next year. Come August, we will be heading off to college for the next few years, working jobs that our pieces of paper somehow qualify us for, and we will not be back here together next in the fall. Commencement tomorrow signifies possibly the greatest wrapping up of anything we have experienced thus far, and it is somber. Whether or not you consider high school a good thing coming to an end, you cannot deny the fact that you have had at least some fun memories with the people sitting around you. After tomorrow, we will all be starting the next chapters in our lives, going on to do great things utilizing the tools we have learned here. While it is exciting, it is also terrifying. Everything is about to change, and who knows what the world might throw at us in the coming years. Despite these next months of unsettling transition, class of 2023, I challenge you to endure. Endure as you have done time and time again through the ups and downs of high school, but especially those of our own extremely unique high school experience. But more than just enduring, let us strive to embody kindness, humility, and patience, for these virtues will carry us through to the end. Thank you.
Hello. So 4 years ago, when we were all wide-eyed, innocent freshmen, I remember stepping into the crowded Gym A lobby on the first day of school, feeling extremely nervous and incredibly excited. I was excited to make new friends. I was excited to take different and honestly, hopefully more interesting classes. And I was excited to find a niche in the school's ecosystem and make a lasting mark.
And I know that I was not alone in these hopes. A lot of us walked into the school freshman year having some idea of what we were interested in and what we wanted to do in order to make our mark. And standing here 4 years later, I think we did that. People got involved, and we invested our time in the things in which we were talented, and we got good at what we did. The field hockey team made it to states. The boys' basketball team became the state champions. Daniel Ma has won several top prizes in international piano competitions. The Quiz Bowl team went to nationals, and there are so many more accomplishments that I could name. All of us are amazing. We're an incredible class. We figured out what our talents were, and we focused on them, and we used them. I would argue that every single person that is part of this class of 2023 has something that we excel in. That could be artistic, academic, athletic, or some other category. We all have incredible talents and abilities, and I think we're using them. But something that I have also seen emerging, besides our specific honed talents, is a push towards exploration of other disciplines. To name just one, Ethan Carnegie was a commended student in the National Merit Scholarship Program, and generally is a wildly intelligent person. On top of being academically gifted, he also happens to be one of the best artists that I know. His artwork was featured on the cover of this year's yearbook, if you want to take a look at something that he's done. And he's developed this artistic talent over the past few years. He and several others I've observed discovered these new gifts by being beautifully curious. This curiosity for things beyond the narrow scope we've held ourselves to can lead to new and wonderful passions. And I want to pause right here for just a second to echo Caleb's gratitude to all that are here tonight and for those who are celebrating with us this weekend. I just want to say to the parents, caregivers, grandparents, siblings, friends, to our families, thank you. Thank you for encouraging us and supporting us and shaping us into who we are today. And to the teachers, thank you so, so much. Thank you for helping us discover our passions and our talents, and for starting us on the path of following our curiosities. All of you are truly amazing. In this class, we all possess and have honed incredible gifts. But by using those gifts to simply pursue one thing, I think we lose a part of ourselves. We are complex beings, and we were not created to put our heads down and get really good at just one thing, like we've been taught to do for such a long time. Instead, we must learn to be curious people. As we enter into the world now, we have to let ourselves hear what is happening around us, and if we find that it is something of interest to us, we must let that curiosity take us towards it. We also must be creative. For instance, maybe your curiosity will lead you away from athletics, but that does not mean you have to leave your identity as an athlete behind. Instead, in wherever your curiosity has led you, I encourage you to harness your creativity and figure out how to still use the gifts you developed as an athlete in the place that you are now. And this applies for all disciplines. By following our curiosity and creatively integrating our many talents, we will become better equipped people to face and to lead in the big, wide world. Overall, we will learn and develop new skills by nurturing diverse passions that will allow us to become truly unique individuals, positioned to do so many great things. We are no longer wide-eyed freshmen hoping to leave a mark on this school. We are, I hope, wide-eyed adults hoping to leave a mark on the world. And the world is a complicated place. It's going to be nigh impossible to find a simple niche to fill in order to leave our mark. We must be creative and learn our fit in society, and we must let our curiosities guide us as we seek to express and use all of our gifts and talents. And I think we have to be excited. We were excited when we came to high school 4 years ago to begin this new thing. If we are excited now to follow our curiosities and creatively use all of our many abilities, I trust that we will do incredible things in the future. Embracing curiosity and creativity as core virtues, I think will lead us to our best version of ourselves. And finally, by striving to clothe ourselves in love in all that we do, we will help others to embrace their curiosity and creativity. And it is in this way that we individually, but perhaps more importantly, we as a community will leave our mark on this world. Thank you.
There are oceans you must cross.
There are races you must run.
You will fall, you will rise, you will soar through the skies. Your new day has just begun. And when darkness closes around you, I
Good evening, family, friends, and the class of 2023. I am honored that you asked me to speak at your class dedication. For those of you that didn't have me as a teacher, I am Ryan King, and I teach agricultural science in the Ag Tech building. I've had the privilege of having many of you as students over the years. Congratulations. This is it. You're now finished and are looking forward to life outside of high school. This is an exciting time in your life, and I hope that you will take it all in and enjoy it. However, like many events in life, time will wear on, and you will forget many of the details of time here on stage. You will forget your school schedule, your lunch pin, and the time the sixth period lets out. Some of you have probably already forgotten it. We forget many things that we once held important in our lives because other, more important things come into our lives. Because of this, it is important for us to have reminders of the things that we should not forget. Over the years, I have shared different things with you as a group during the FFA chapels. Many of my lessons and devotions revolved around agricultural items, especially potatoes. So as my final chance to share and impart some wisdom on you, I'm going to use some potatoes today. By the way, I had to go and buy this potato. Do you realize as a potato farmer that is, anyhow. Hopefully it'll rain. We need to pray for that. I come from a long line of farmers. My grandfather was a potato farmer, and my dad worked with him on that potato farm. One of my father's jobs was to cut the seed potatoes so that they could be planted in the fields and produce new potatoes. One of the issues with the seed potatoes is that a rock could make its way into the seed potato batch. The seed potatoes were all sorted and inspected by hand by farmers in Maine. There were oftentimes a rock that could get in because it looked very much like a potato. If the rock made it to our farm, it would need to be removed, or it could do a lot of damage to the potato cutter or the planter. To help him out with this, my dad had all the potatoes drop onto a piece of metal where they would make a sound. Or when he heard that sound, he knew that there was a potato, or that there was a rock coming up through, and he knew that to turn off the potato cutter and go searching for it. This right here, if you don't know, is a rock. I have this rock sitting either in my office or at my desk today. I asked my dad many years ago to save a rock for me when he would find one. And there are a couple reasons why I keep this rock at my desk. First of all, it reminds me of my dad and my time working with him on the farm. My dad passed away 13 years ago, and this rock serves as a reminder of all the good times that I had with him on the farm. The second reason I have this rock at my desk is what I want to leave with you tonight. That lesson is that in a world of potatoes, don't be a rock. Let me explain this a little bit more for you. Our theme verse this year came from Colossians 3, verses 12 and 14 say, "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity." You're going to encounter many different people as you go forth from Lancaster Mennonite. You will find many people who are compassionate, who are kind, who show humility, who are gentle, and who are patient. Our world is full of people who show these various traits at different times. But what differentiates the non-Christian from the Christian? I believe it is love. Verse 14 states that love is what binds all these good traits in perfect unity. In fact, Paul also writes in 1 Corinthians 13 that if he does all kinds of good works, but does not have love, he is nothing and gains nothing. Love is what distinguishes people who follow and live for Christ and those who don't. I remember an old song that we used to sing that said, "And they'll know we are Christians by our love." So what does this all have to do with potatoes and rocks? This rock right here is a reminder for me, and hopefully a challenge for you of this. To be a potato and not a rock. A potato is useful in making things that we eat, like mashed potatoes, potato chips, home fries. I could go on and on. A potato gives nourishment and energy for people. A potato is useful for us to do other good works. A rock that pretends to be a potato is not useful. It is an imitator. It destroys things and does not give us the nourishment that we need. I see this rock It reminds me to take all these virtues mentioned in Colossians 3, verse 12, and wrap it with the love that comes from Christ. I want to make a positive difference in people's lives, not to be a hypocrite or cause harm to others. Class of 2023, I don't know where you're going to end up. I don't know what the Lord has in store for you, but I pray that you will continue to follow his leading for your life. I pray that you will not forget all that you have learned here at school, both in class and out of class. I hope that there are little tangible things that help you remember that Christ loves you and desires a relationship with you. I pray that as you go out from Lancaster Mennonite, that you will represent yourself, your family, and your community well. The faculty and staff here at Lancaster Mennonite will be looking forward to seeing how you use your gifts and talents for the glory of Christ. You have been given a blessing of Lancaster Mennonite High School diploma. May this serve as a reminder to you of all the things you learned and experienced here at Lancaster Mennonite. Use it to serve your community and the Lord well. As you go forth, be a potato, not a rock. Congratulations on your achievement thus far, and blessings on your journey of life.
One more speech. Good evening, class of 2023, faculty, family, and friends. I'm Mrs. Lawver, and I'm very grateful to be part of this exciting event tonight. First, I want to congratulate you, seniors, on reaching this milestone. You made it, and this is a moment to truly celebrate. I also want to give a shout out to my awesome advisory group. You know who you are. And second, as an English teacher, I want you all to know that this short speech was not generated by any AI. It is not plagiarized, even though I didn't run it through turnitin.com. And I will cite my sources for any borrowed or quoted material. So, class of 2023, this weekend marks an end and a beginning for you and for me. You are wrapping up your K through 12 education, and I'm retiring after 31 years of teaching English and ESL, 25 of those years right here at Lancaster Mennonite. Maybe I can relate just a little bit to the mix of joy and anticipation, along with a pinch of uncertainty that you might be feeling. Graduating seniors, you are a beautifully diverse class. Some of you live just a short drive from here, and others of you are thousands of miles from your home and your family. English is your first or second or third or even fourth language. Some of you have been part of Lancaster Mennonite since kindergarten, and others of you joined us sometime along the way, as recently as this year. But all of you have navigated through 4 really challenging years, from the COVID shutdown during your freshman year and that pivot to remote learning, to adjusting to a new normal. I'll never forget the effort of my students who logged onto my not-so-exciting Zoom classes, and especially those of you that were back home in China, sacrificing sleep to log in to my classes in the middle of the night. But with God's help and with the support of your family and friends and teachers, all of you have found your way. You've adapted and persevered. You've tried new things. You've learned to balance school and work and extracurricular activities. You've worked hard, you've had fun, and you've thrived. And as you face this new beginning, this transition, I'd like to share 2 thoughts, they're themes really, from books that I've taught and that many of you have read. And I promise this is short. Okay. First, there's a tremendous value in understanding other people's perspectives. Many of you read the novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee during your freshman year. And one famous quote from that book goes like this: "You never really understand a person until you consider things from their point of view." Seniors, listening to others' stories and asking genuine questions will enrich your lives, and it'll break down barriers of misunderstanding. We show the love of Jesus when we truly listen. And thank you for sharing your stories with me. Second, success in life requires both personal resilience and teamwork. In the book, The Boys in the Boat, by Daniel James Brown, the young men on the 1936 U.S. Olympic Championship rowing team found this to be true. As they raced, all of them were individuals digging deep, but to win, they had to work together selflessly. Seniors, I believe you will find the heart of that personal resilience through your faith in God and through a community of faith. Keep that the priority in your life. It will ground you and it will sustain you. So as I retire this year, I am grateful for my time here at Lancaster Mennonite. And class of 2023, I'm so thankful that my path has intersected with yours. And I look forward to seeing what God has in store for each of you. I'd like to close with a blessing. It's the song that we sang together in chapel this past year. As we look back and we say goodbye and we look ahead, I'm going to say the words and then I'm going to sing it for you as a solo. And then I would invite you, seniors, faculty, campus chorale, anyone, to sing along on the second time through. So the words go like this. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. And it goes like this. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Let's sing it together. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Matthew Goppold, Senior Class Treasurer, and I'm presenting the class gift on behalf of the class of 2023. We have put together $2,000 to go towards furniture in the gathering area.
So we just have a couple more items. I'm going to go over a couple announcements, then we will have a benediction and then a closing congregational song. I first want to say thank you to the senior class committee and the students who spoke, as well as faculty who spoke, and everyone who shared in tonight's service. So let's give them a round of applause. Now for a few details regarding tomorrow's commencement service. Commencement will take place tomorrow at 10 a.m. and the doors will open at 9:30 for seating. Any person that's needing assistance should arrive at the doors under the bridge, under the skywalk, which will be open at 9:15, and follow the attendant's instructions. All others should proceed through the front doors of the Fine Arts Center. The lower entrance will only be open for those needing assistance. Please save your programs for tomorrow so that we can conserve on those, and those that don't have them will be able to get others at the door. But please bring them back tomorrow, and please make sure you take everything tonight as you leave so that nothing's left here. Thank you so much for coming and celebrating with our seniors, and we look forward to celebrating graduation with you tomorrow. And at this point, I'll invite Mr. Souter up for our benediction.
I'm talking to them, not you. Sorry. But I'm going to face you as well. Just so I'm not slapped with a charge of plagiarism, I want to acknowledge the sources for this benediction. In alphabetical order: Dave Coriel, God, Ryan King, Alice Lawver, Caleb Metzler, Emma Wilson. A benediction is not necessarily a prayer. It's a blessing that you are to receive. So I'm going to ask you to stand. Please keep your eyes open. And at our church, we put our hands out to receive the blessing. Yes. And because it's a blessing and not a prayer, you don't have to take your hats off. Class of 2023. Go. Go celebrate. Go toss your cap tomorrow. Run the race the Apostle Paul tells you to. Go find your niche in the world's ecosystem. Go take your place in the row. You do belong on that plane. Go make your mark on a hurting world. Go do more than the bare minimum. Go, but still cry yourself to sleep when life is hard. Go and use the wisdom, use the resources God has placed at your fingertips, like Grammarly, Purdue OWL, Google. But don't forget prayer, fasting, meditation, and of course, the incredible community God has placed around you. Go, build your bridges, root your life deeply. Go, enjoy the ironies of life, even when you have to go out and buy your own potatoes. Go, don't be afraid of that pinch of uncertainty. Go and connect the names of countries that you see in the headlines with faces that you share the stage with tonight. Go, leave your mark, and enjoy the life that God has given you, but don't wait until 11:59. Go in the confidence of Jesus Christ. Love God, love others, love yourself, and love this beautiful world that we live in. And one more time, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience. I'm including verse 13. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you, and over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. The Lord bless you and keep you and make his face smile upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face to you and give you peace. Go in shalom.
And let's sing those words that Mr. Souter shared with us. If you have a program, seniors as well, pages 9 and 10 has the music to a song that Campus Chorale ends our program with as we go and sing in the community. It's the song, "The Lord Bless You and Keep You." So please let's sing this blessing over one another.